Salutations everyone, and welcome to a Star Wars Battlefront 2 video talking about the beta. It is finally over. Was thankful to get 2 extra days. Played on both the Xbox One and the PS4 just to get a little taste of each. You know, obviously handled the same from both, but PS4 had a little bit of issues with the party system because, you know, PS4 things. So I had a ton of fun with this beta. Now, a full disclaimer, I did really like the last Battlefront game that came out a few years ago before The Force Awakens did. And a lot of people weren't super high on that game because it was only the Ridge Tridge. There was no prequel stuff. And you know, obviously no Force Awakens stuff outside of a couple of maps because that movie wasn't out yet. But here we're going to have some First Order stuff. You're going to be able to play as Rey and Poe Dameron's X-Wing. You can play as Trade Federation, as Darth Maul, and all that good stuff. So much more of the universe is available in this game. And a lot of people didn't like the lack of the story mode in the first game. And I understand like lack of space battles. I can understand that. That you would want all the features that the old one had, even though this game obviously looks better, handles better, has a lot more to it, a lot more content, and it's just really pretty. The first Battlefront game I thought was the best looking game on any console at that point, and I think Battlefront 2 surpasses that, obviously, because it's a newer game. But I really liked everything that you could do in Battlefront 1, and I think Battlefront 2 is even better. The classes and the unlocks seem a bit more balanced. The UI is more streamlined. We don't have to worry about having only 2 card hands to choose from. You can change your cards on the fly. So in case, you know, whatever the situation is, whether you're on attack or defense or on a different map, you can switch the cards, which give your character different abilities that either enhances their default abilities or replaces their default abilities. And some people obviously got worried. You've heard, I'm sure, or read some headlines about, oh, Battlefront 2 is pay to win. It isn't. It's very much like Battlefield. Obviously, this is a DICE game, so that shouldn't be surprising to any of you. And if you played Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4 or Battlefield Hardline, you'll know exactly what I mean. You can buy loot boxes. You can buy boxes of stuff, of attachments and guns and things like that, different equipments. But you're going to be able to unlock it through normal progression of the game anyway. So yes, if you do buy some at the very beginning, you will be at an advantage because nobody had played, you know, 20, 30 hours at that point. But after a week, that advantage is going to disappear because the people that are playing the game, that like playing the game, that are good at playing the game, are going to have those unlocks just by unlocking them through normal progression of the game. So you earn credits and you can buy a trooper pack, which guarantees at least 1 card. It's a 3-card pack. At least one of those cards is going to be for a trooper. You can do a hero pack, which guarantees at least one of the cards will enhance one of your heroes. And here I am playing one of the missions. So yes, mission mode is back. And I think better than ever. Also will help you practice, you know, maybe some certain heroes. Also, you can be normal troops and stuff. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of variety of things to come within the mission mode. But I think this whole worry about pay to play is mostly people looking for headlines, looking for excuses to hate on loot box systems, which are all the rage right now, or, you know, just hate on a game that isn't out yet. That is like super duper popular the past couple of years, to hate on a game that isn't out yet, either for good reasons or for, you know, completely unjustified reasons. But you know, this is just like any of the other DICE games. If you buy a bunch at the beginning, you will have an advantage. But if you play for, you know, just a couple of weeks, you're going to be pretty much a level playing field. I played, you know, a decent amount on both systems, so my time was split up between both systems, and I was able to get cards for, I think, every single class of both the ground troopers as well as the fighters. I didn't get a ton of hero cards, but I was mostly going for trooper cards. And you do unlock weapons and things by just playing that class. I don't know how many different weapons will be available in this game, but as far as like the abilities go, it is much more balanced in Battlefront 2. In Battlefront 1, you had like that personal shield, and you know, maybe you didn't like the cycler rifle or the pulse rifle and getting sniped by that. But here, your abilities and the kinds of cards that you can get are tied to a certain class. So if one thing is really good, you're only going to be able to use it on that class. You're not going to be able to mix and match and make some super OP combination, whether you're in space or on the ground, or, you know, anywhere in between, because, you know, there's a lot of things that you can get. And another big change is how before you could pick up like a rocket launcher, or you could pick up an X-Wing to fly in the sky, or you pick up the ability to be Han Solo or Boba Fett or something. Here, you purchase it through the points that you gain in the game. So if you're really good at Battlefront 2, or, you know, if you were really good at Battlefront 1, you're going to be really good at Battlefront 2. And if you're really good at Battlefront 2, you're going to be even better than you ever were in Battlefront 1, because you're going to be have the highest score. So you're going to have the first option to buy a hero, where that in the beta, it was available to be Rey or Han Solo, or you could also be Darth Maul or Boba Fett, Darth Maul's Scimitar, and Boba Fett's Slave 1. I don't know why it was Boba Fett, by the way, because, you know, in the Theed battle, Boba Fett wouldn't have been born yet. Actually, I don't know when, you know, it took place, but if the Trade Federation was going strong, he was at the very least a child, so I don't know why they didn't choose Jango Fett. It doesn't make any sense to me. Also, Jango Fett is actually a real cool character that does stuff, and Boba Fett is just a punk bitch who has Darth Vader do all his work for him and dies in a Sarlacc pit like a punk bitch. But regardless, so if you are good at Battlefront, you are going to have an even more fun of a time, because you're going to gain those points faster than anybody else. You don't have to worry about a really terrible player picking up Han Solo or the Millennium Falcon and then immediately wasting it. If you have the high score, you're the only one who's going to be able to get those heroes. And I know that might sound unfair to, you know, the layman who's not going to get the opportunities, but, you know, if the best players get the best abilities, then that's just going to help your team win. And if you hone your skills, you're going to be able to play heroes. It took me just a little bit of time to kind of adjust to the changes and, you know, how the different classes work, to actually start just kicking ass consistently in every single game mode, whether it was Galactic Assault or the Supreme, I forget which was which, either boots on the ground or in the sky. It was super duper fun, and I was consistently getting the hero classes, and they were a lot of fun. I feel like they're just as balanced as they were in Battlefront 1, so whether you thought they were balanced or imbalanced in Battlefront 1, they seem very similar in Battlefront 2. Obviously, there'll be, you know, one or two that stand out. Darth Maul's Scimitar in space seemed to be the highest performing one that I saw when I wasn't using him. Can't, you know, really use my own data to kind of throw things off to, you know, what I was observing, but I had a lot of success with Slave 1 as well. Maybe, you know, a bit higher upside with the Scimitar, but also maybe a bit more vulnerable as well. Poe Dameron's X-Wing was worth, you know, more than the Millennium Falcon, but the Millennium Falcon seems to do better, and the Scimitar was worth more than Slave 1, and the Scimitar seemed to perform better, maybe a little bit less consistent, but still better. So, you know, those are going to be big changes. So if you were good at Battlefield 1 or Battlefront 1, you're going to be even better at Battlefront 2 and have a good old time. So I had a really lot of fun with the game. Now, as far as like balance goes, you know, it's a beta, so it's kind of going to be difficult to figure things out, you know, objectively, since there's so many people playing this game, so many people who didn't play Battlefront 1 and don't plan on buying this one, so they weren't taking it seriously. You know, they didn't really know how everything worked. They didn't pick up the ion cannons to shoot at the AAT. So here on Theed, if you don't know how this worked, it was very similar, even if you just played the beta in Battlefront 1, where you had the AT-AT walkers, you had to get a couple of systems under your control so that Y-Wings could bomb it, and then it became vulnerable for you to shoot at, and if you destroyed it, you win, and if not, they had to keep progressing and then destroy a target. And obviously that was super imbalanced in the beta. You know, the Rebels only won like 3% of the time, so they made a lot of changes to that. Here on Theed, I felt like it was very, very even. I felt like it was 50-50 on, you know, the attacking and defending team who was winning, and it was really nice. So instead of having to hold down a position, you would just pick up ion cannons that were on the field, and you would shoot at the AAT, and that would make it vulnerable, and if you destroyed it before it made it to the castle, then you win. Otherwise, if you're on the Trade Federation team, you're going to want to, you know, protect those ion cannons out there and shoot the people that pick them up, and shoot the people that are shooting at it when it is vulnerable, and all of a sudden you take it to the palace. So the AAT blows open the palace doors, and then you fight from there. You have to gain control of 2 different door systems, which take about a minute each to open, with a person holding a button at the door, completely vulnerable to attack. And then you have to take over the palace room. So it was pretty even, which was actually very impressive. But once again, it's a beta, so it's going to take some time to figure out where the balance is. So as far as like the classes went, there did seem to be some imbalances. The specialist and the heavy seem to be very, very strong. At first, it seems like the specialist is insanely overpowered because of the ability that it has, where you click in both bumpers. With the infiltration, you get this 3-burst pistol that's super strong at short range. You get to see where your enemies are on the radar, and if you get an upgrade to it, it can scramble your enemy radar as well as show your enemies on the radar to nearby teammates. But it's really only good at short range. It does seem kind of broken, because if you do get a kill, then the timer kind of like resets. So if you keep getting kills with this really strong gun that kills in 2 or 3 bursts, then you get to keep it. It's not like it's not going to be only for 10 seconds or 15 seconds. If you keep getting kills, you keep keeping it. But it really is only good at close range. At mid range, you're only going to win 1v1s really if you get the first shot off, but you're not going to get any greater defense or health. And the specialist is already the squishiest class out there, so it actually does seem quite balanced. But in the right hands, you could go ham. I did it, a friend that I played did it, and if you can get a really high score, a nice kill streak, a 7-8 kill streak really quickly, then boom, you pick up Boba Fett, you pick up Darth Maul or Han Solo or Rey, and then you can just tear ass from there. So and the heavies seem super duper strong as well. I felt like the officer class was very balanced, pretty fun. You can throw down a sentry, a turret, but that turret wasn't super duper strong. It didn't fire super quickly, but at the same time, it wasn't super duper easily destroyed. The heavy class had shields. It had, super duper powerful miniguns that you saw me use earlier in the video. So maybe that needs toning down. Maybe specialist, especially the interceptor or the infiltration mode, it seems like it might need some toning down. The assault class definitely is the weakest class, which is kind of surprising as far as dice games go. The original assault or medic class in Battlefront 1 was super strong, and I really liked it. I feel like it just needs better guns to make it fill the role that it should have. But overall, there will be some tweaks to the balance. There will be feedback from the beta, and overall, I really enjoyed the beta. I felt like the space fights were better than ever. The ground fights were better than ever. More balanced, cleaner UI, less frustrating, and even prettier than the previous one was. So if you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're a fan of any Battlefront, whether it was the last one or the original ones or anything, this is the Star Wars experience to have on any console, on any platform. And I'm going to get it because it was an amazing beta.